Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Happy Monday. How's it going? How was your weekend? I had to, I feel like I had to go grab my slippers real quick because it's actually a little bit cold in this house, but I don't want my husband to hear me say that because he's wearing a hoodie because he's so cold because I have it turned down so high or so low. But it's raining outside and it's been kind of storming. Hey. So I feel like it's a little bit colder than it should be for a June day. Is it already June? What is happening? I feel like this is like the longest year of all time. And yet somehow time is flying by. I don't understand it. It's crazy. Hey, you guys, welcome back. Just take a deep breath. You have made it through Monday. It's almost over. 4:00 on Monday. It was like all of a sudden getting up to 90 degrees. And then this week it's going to be raining, I think, like all week. Did Colorado get snow? Oh my gosh. I don't know. Well, I guess there's mountains in Colorado, so not near Christabel. So I got, I didn't actually post this on my Sarah Cannon Instagram stories, but I posted it on my Heart Breathing Instagram stories this weekend that I was starting to get super stressed. And on Saturday morning, a new package came in on the mail that was my Mother's Day gift from Andrew and Evie, really just kind of like to myself as I picked it out, with some new makeup to try because I really wanted to try some different makeup stuff and just didn't buy it for myself. So that all came in from Sephora, and it was like my first ever order from Sephora. And I was like, okay, I have to go and clean up my entire office or my entire bathroom to make room for this beautiful new makeup. And it just made me so happy to make the difference. But I'm wearing the new eyeshadow and I think it actually looks really cute. So yeah, so LA Long saw the exploded drawer. Now, I will say it doesn't always look like that. I had pulled things out and put it on the top. So it looked a little messier than, normally would. But there's just something about cleaning up your space sometimes that makes it just feel really good. So that felt really nice. So I have my first, expensive makeup, I would say, because to me, anything that's not like Target makeup or something is really expensive. So that was a nice little treat for Mother's Day, which feels really good. I feel like I never really learned how to do makeup at all when I was a little kid, because my mom didn't really wear makeup. And so I'd never had anybody teach me. My sister didn't wear makeup. And so I kind of never really knew what to do until YouTube came along. And now I'm like trying different things on YouTube. And now that I am like on camera so much, I'm like, well, let's see how this looks. And sometimes the camera will come on and I'm like, well, that didn't turn out as good as I hoped it would. But I feel like this actually looks pretty good. I don't know. So pretty happy about that. Also, I went through I posted a poll here on YouTube, and I posted a poll on the Coven for what to read next. And the results were very different, I would say, pretty different. So we're going to talk about the results, although I think I left my little sheet that had the results in the kitchen, so I'm not really going to grab it, but I remember what they were. And it's kind of one of those things of like, are the people in the Coven that were voting all people that are even watching on YouTube? I'm not really sure. So we'll just kind of have a discussion about it. So I don't know where that sheet went. I specifically wrote it down, but it's something along the lines of, in the Coven, it seemed like we had somewhere around 100 votes. And I'm thinking that it actually got pushed down, and I should have probably pinned it to the top or kept bumping it up, but I think it got pushed down. That's why we only had 100 votes. But After Midnight won the vote in the Coven by 13 votes. So it was something like 43 or so many votes in the Coven. The second option was Beautiful Demons with like 13 less. And then the last choice was Triton's Curse at like 20 something votes. So if I were going simply by the Coven, it would be After Midnight. Now, that does make sense because the people that are in the coven, a lot of them are people who are, people that have been around with me for a long time. Whereas a lot of you here on YouTube, like Teutonics just said, I'm on YouTube, but not on Facebook. So a lot of people like are discovering me through The Witch's Key. And a lot of you have not actually read that series. So you are just, brand new to my stuff. And so the people in the coven don't mind me reading after midnight because they're familiar with the first 6 books of the series. So here on YouTube, it doesn't actually tell me how many people voted. All it tells me is the percentage, but the percentage of people who voted for Beautiful Demons was way high. It was like almost 70% of the vote went to Beautiful Demons. So Christabel said in the coven, it was 47 for After Midnight, 34 for Beautiful Demons, and 28 for Triton's Curse. Here on YouTube, it was like 67% for Beautiful Demons, and then like, I don't know, 20% something for After Midnight, and then like 11% for, no, I could be wrong about that. But Triton's Curse, which I had thought, Emmy says Merman, I thought that would be like from everybody kind of talking on Friday, I thought that would be the winner, but Triton's Curse is the third option, I think, in both scenarios. So what I have decided to do is I am going to read Beautiful Demons. So long story short, oh, look, we have 83 people here. Welcome, you guys. I always am like, are people going back to work? Are people still here? Are you guys still interested? So I'm excited that you're here. Thank you so much for being here. I am going to read Beautiful Demons because I feel like it's the number one entry story to my world, to my writing, to everything that I've done before. And of course, if you're interested in reading the Merman story, you can just go grab that book. I think it's only 99 cents. At most, it's $2.99. So you can always still go and read that one. Alex is a newbie. Welcome, Alex. Yay. I didn't see Alex post, but I'm sure it's up there and I just missed it. Angela posted it. 61% Beautiful Demons, Triton's Curse 28, and After Midnight was 11%. I knew something was 11. So I think that here on YouTube, that kind of gives me a good idea that here on YouTube, a lot of you guys have not made it to the 6th book of the series. So you don't want those spoilers. So I think that's why that one ended up at the lower, but it ended up in the higher in the coven because most of my coven has read those series, which makes sense. So I am going to go with, like I said, the YouTube vote because I feel like you guys are the ones that are showing up and the people that have been introduced to me through The Witch's Key. I think you're really going to like Beautiful Demons. Now, a couple things that I want you to remember as we go on this journey together of reading Beautiful Demons. Number one is that this book was not written like The Witch's Key. I was specifically writing it to be read here on YouTube. So I specifically wrote it with cliffhangers and every single day was like a dun, dun, dun kind of moment. However, Beautiful Demons was not written that way. It was written just as a book that was supposed to go out. Also, so there may not be as like clean breaks. Sometimes there are some really super short chapters that only have like 2 pages. So I'm going to go throughout this week before we start reading it. I'm going to go through and kind of like bunch it together, so to speak. So sometimes we might read 3 chapters, sometimes we might read 1, sometimes we might read 6 chapters, but I'm going to try to keep it to between 2,000 to 3,000 words a day as we read. And of course, we're going to just keep doing Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. So I will have, hopefully by Wednesday, a sort of preliminary schedule for you guys so that you can see when we're going to be reading, when we're still going to be doing some coffee chat stuff, and so on. So hopefully that will be there for you guys by Wednesday. It just is a matter of whether I have time. The other thing that I do want you to remember as we go through it is that I'm not going to be rewriting it or re-editing it for this purpose. So you just please be kind and remember that although I love Beautiful Demons, I wrote that 10 years ago. So you're going to see some difference in the quality of my writing. Hopefully you'll still feel like the quality of the story is just as good, but you will potentially have, some like moments where you're like, well, that was a little bit clunkier or a little bit more awkward. It's still me, it's still my writing, but it's my writing 10 years ago. And I know that sometimes as we go back to read our old stuff, there are moments where you go, wow, that was better than I thought. And then there's also moments where you're like, wow, I've learned so much since then. So just keep in mind that this is older writing and the series does get better and better as you go. So just Teutonics. It was beautiful, Sarah. Don't put yourself down. I'm trying to avoid putting myself down, but just also putting the expectation out there that it's maybe not going to be as polished of I did read my rough draft to you guys, but it's going to just be a slightly different version of my writing because it's, old. But I think that this will be a really good way for those of you that enjoyed The Witch's Key and have just discovered me or discovered me through my Heart Breathings channel and are here to kind of see what's up. I think it'll be a good way for you to get introduced to my main series. So here's kind of the plan. We are going to start on Monday. I will talk a little bit about Beautiful Demons today, and we'll maybe do some stuff on Wednesday as well. Friday, we are going to take the day off because it is Andrew's birthday and he will be 8 years old. So I really want to just completely take that day off. And I don't want to have like us deciding to go do something that he wants to do or be in the middle of a family movie or any other kind of thing like that and be like, oh, I got to go live. So even though you guys obviously are super important to me, I am going to just take Friday off completely for Andrew's birthday. So this week we will go live. Obviously, we're here today. Andrew's 8 already. I mean, it's just crazy to me that he is turning 8 on Friday. I feel like it has gone by in a blink. And it's like, what happened to this tiny, cute little baby boy? And now he's like getting so grown up. Insane. He's such a great kid. I just love this kid so much. And I want to celebrate him all day on Friday. So we're going to have a great day. Saturday, we were supposed to be leaving for Panama City Beach, and we were going to be gone all next week for a vacation to kind of celebrate him, but also see some family. Obviously, that has been canceled. So we're just going to try to make the most of it, and we'll just kind of try to celebrate him as best as we can as our small little family, still social distancing from everybody else. So today we will hang out. We didn't get a chance to talk about favorite video games on Friday, so we're going to kind of chat about that a little bit today as well. And I'm going to take you through a little bit of my Beautiful Demons story, and I'll also be kind of giving you guys on Wednesday a schedule and a chance if you want to ask any questions, just like a coffee chat. You want to come say hi? There's the birthday boy.
Hey,
it's your birthday week. In this house, you get a whole week. You want to say hi? He got his hair cut. He looks so good. Yeah, you do. You look great. It's maybe sticking up just a little bit.
First day of the haircut, I looked hideous.
Well, that's because they brushed it for you. But now you got your own style, right?
I kind of wish it was still on.
He kind of wishes his hair was still long. They love your haircut. He kind of wishes it was still long, but it just needed, it was getting in his eyes so much. Well, you can grow it back out, okay? So I bought him, I had to go get groceries yesterday. It's the first time we'd been to the grocery store in like 2 weeks to get a full amount of groceries. And there's a Starbucks at our grocery store. So I was like, I've got to get him a cake pop. So I brought him a cake pop to start his celebration for his birthday week. And Friday we have a special treat being delivered in the morning for him, right?
Treat?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for your birthday. He's getting a brownie thing. We don't know exactly what it's going to be, but for his, I think I might have mentioned this to you guys before, but for his school's auction, one of the things we won was monthly six months
for a half a year.
Yeah, half a year of special treats from a pastry chef here in Charleston. So I asked her specifically if she could bring her June pastry treat, whatever it's going to be, on Friday. So his request was something brownie themed. So she's going to bring him something special for his birthday. What's what? This is our second. It's our second. This is our second one, so we still have 4. It's the second one, buddy.
But what about, we had the like weird cookie thingy?
Yeah, those were just extra.
Oh. So carrot cake was first?
We kind of got 6. We got 6 months, but we kind of got 7 because when we went to go pick up that peacock, if you guys remember the peacock that he made, that we've got it hanging on the wall now. But when we went to go pick it up, she left us already like a bunch of treats as just like a freebie. So 7 months, and George's birthday is next month. So we're going to just have a bunch of birthday stuff. So we got carrot cake last month, which is George's favorite. And then we're getting brownies, and then maybe we'll get carrot cake again next month because of George's birthday. So I see a lot of stuff going by. I love the haircut. Now you can see his face. That's right, Patricia. I mean, he had it in his hair or in his face, and I was like, okay, he needs a haircut. He's not super happy about it, but he's a trooper. So that is the plan. I hope you guys are excited. I'm excited to get back into reading something to you. So like I said, if you're just joining us, because we've had about 10 more people get on, we're getting close to 100. So I'm very excited about that. I am going to be reading Beautiful Demons, which is my very first published book back in October of 2010. So we are coming up on the 10-year anniversary of Beautiful Demons. And it's about this time of year, 10 years ago, that I started this book. And so I wanted to kind of talk about that just a little bit. So I believe it was June. So we were in June. I had written Pandemic. So this book had been finished. This was what turned into Death's Awakening. And if you've been kind of hanging out with me for the last month or so, you guys know that story, Pandemic, went through multiple versions of itself. And this was a book that I wrote before Beautiful Demons. So I wrote Pandemic. It was about 100,000 word book. And in June of 2010, I went to a conference called the Romance Writers of America Conference. So it's RWA, if you've heard of that before. And this is a professional conference. And even though I don't technically write all romance stuff, I write young adult. And in the rules for the RWA for young adult, there just has to be a romance inside the story, but it doesn't have to have a happily ever after. So I signed up to pitch to my dream agent. Her name is Kristen Nelson, and I had followed her blog for years. She represents some amazing authors, and I was just like, she's my dream agent. I would really, really love to work with her. And so I signed up and was lucky enough to get like a 15-minute pitch session with her. So if you're not a writer and you're not familiar, pitch session is basically where you get like 15 minutes at a table with an agent or an editor, and you get to tell them a little bit about your story. And you basically have what's called like an elevator pitch, which means you have just enough time as it would take you to go from one floor to another on the elevator. You've got to do it like super fast. And so I had just a couple of minutes basically to tell her who I was and what I was writing and what story I wanted to send to her. And so I told her about the story Pandemic. And of course that became Death's Awakening. And yes, oh my gosh, pitching was so stressful. I had actually pitched at RWA the year before. And if you've been following me, you might guess what I pitched the year before, which was a book to Harlequin that I called The Millionaire's Secret Marcher. It was for the Desire line. And obviously that book did not get picked up. And that was when I decided to write a young adult series instead. So I spent the next year writing Pandemic, which is Death's Awakening now. And I pitched this story to Kristen Nelson, and I also pitched it to an editor at Tor Books, which is they publish a lot of like science fiction and fantasy type books. So I pitched to 2 different people and they both seemed very interested. So Kristen Nelson asked for the first 50 pages, I believe. The editor from Tor actually asked for a full. She wanted the entire manuscript. So this was maybe like the second or third day of the conference. And I remember I walked out of those 2 pitch sessions like floating on air because they both were interested in the story. And I was so excited. I was like, okay, I've got to go get like a cocktail. And then I am going to get, to work, because I knew I had to submit like 40 pages to Kristen Nelson as soon as possible. So instead of attending most of the rest of the conference, I spent my time with earbuds in at the like coffee shop at the hotel. Let's see, which hotel was that? It's an RWA conference is at a different place every single year. And I think that conference was the one that was at Disney. So that was the year, I believe, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that was the year that it was supposed to be in Nashville at Opryland, and there was a flood in Nashville. Nashville flooded terribly. So they had to scramble and send us somewhere different. So we ended up going to Disney World, which was like, yay! I was so excited to go to Disney World. And we stayed at the Swan and Dolphin Hotel. And so that was super fun. So I went out to one of those little like coffee shops there at Disney, and I spent the rest of the conference like editing and re-editing and perfecting those 40 pages. And I sent it out to her, and I heard back from her very, very quickly. And it was like, so I was so nervous because I was just wanting so badly to be published. And at the time, probably for the last, so this was June of 2010. So probably for the last 3 or 4 months, maybe even 6 months, George had been kind of paying some attention to Amazon. And he kept saying, I'm seeing these people, Sarah, that are not traditionally, they're not published by a real publisher is what everybody used to say. They're not published by a real publisher. They're not published by Tor or Random House or Hatchet Books or any of those New York publishers. They're just publishing these books themselves. And he's like, you should pick some of them up. So at that point, I had started paying attention to this thing called self-publishing. And there was a part of me that was like, maybe I should do this. But then I was really scared because I wanted to be a success. And I was so scared that if I did it on my own, I would never be successful. And to put it in context, I've talked about this a little bit before, but back in 2010, almost nobody was self-publishing. It was really just a very small handful of authors. And so it wasn't a proven thing. And most people who were trying to be authors were still doing the same thing. You would pitch to an agent, and if an agent would take you, some of you may not know this because you're not in the writer world, but if you want to get a book published by Random House, you can't just send them your manuscript. They'll just put it in what they call a slush pile and they'll never read it. So you need an agent. So you have to get an agent first and pitch to them and sign a contract with them. Then you have that agent is the one who goes to Random House and says, I've got this book by a new author and we'd love to get a deal. And the majority of times, if you can get a deal, it can take you years to get an agent. Then it can take you years for that agent to sell that book. And a lot of times people will get an agent and then that agent can't sell that book. So then you've got to write another book. And then, and it just can be years and years and years of a process. So like Renee or Roseanne just said, my friend has a book with Tortine and it took forever to get out from the time she got the deal until it came out. So it's one of those things where it's it can take you years to try to get an agent and then to get that agent to sell that book. It's a real process. So I was just super nervous to hear back from Kristen Nelson, and I wanted to hear back from Kristen before I sent the manuscript off to Tortine. So I just waited, and it got back to me very, very quickly. And it was just basically a form rejection letter, meaning that it was just the letter she sends out to everybody that just says, thank you so much for your time. Have a great life. That kind of thing. I probably still have that email somewhere. But she did actually put a little note at the bottom that said, "A note from Kristen." And it said something along the lines of, "I absolutely love your writing. I think you have a great voice and it just really pulls me in from the start. However, I don't think that this is the right project for me. And I wish you the best of luck placing it elsewhere." So she was talking, of course, about Pandemic, which became Death's Awakening. And I was very encouraged by her note because when I talked to a lot of people, she's like one of those agents that's just super hard to get, especially in YA. And she almost never leaves personal notes. This is what everybody told me at the time. So to actually have gotten a personal note from her saying it was so nice to meet you at RWA and I wish you the best and I like your writing gave me a lot of confidence that like, man, maybe I'm a good enough writer for people to enjoy my books, but I got to play this game of like finding the right agent and then writing the right book that people want to read or that people want to buy. Because when you're going through that game of selling it to an agent and then the agent has to sell it to a publisher, it's not even just about whether you're a good writer. It's about whether they think that book is the book they want to sell. And they have limited number of books they take on, and they have a limited number of, things they can do. So if I was writing a zombie book and they just didn't feel like zombies were trendy right now, it doesn't matter how good the book is. It just matters if they want a zombie book. And it's kind of like, if you see something hit big, like Twilight back in the day, then you start to see a lot of other vampire books, or like when Divergent hit big, you start to see a ton of other dystopian books. So if you happen to be like, it's a huge dystopian time and you happen to be writing a zombie series, you could be in big trouble. So that sort of thing really matters in traditional publishing. And so when I got that rejection letter, George and I had already been at this point talking a lot about what if I just started my own publishing company and just self-published? And what would that mean for me? So back at that time, what that meant was I was not going to have my books in a normal bookstore. It also meant that I was not going to be able to hit a bestseller list. I was probably going to, like back in 2010, self-publishing also meant that once you were self-published, no agent was going to look at you ever again. You were basically just kind of dead to the publishing world. That is not true anymore. But it seemed like it was true at the time. So I was really like debating. And this is before we had children. We had only been married. We got married in December of 2009. So we had only been married like 6 months, and we were talking through it, and we went to a beach vacation with a bunch of family, and we were like in the Outer Banks in North Carolina with a bunch of family. And George and I spent so much of that vacation like in our room or on the beach or at the pool, just talking about, what if I self-publish? Should I do this? Should I not do this? Should I publish Pandemic or should I write something new? I don't know what to do. And it was very, very exciting, but also very, very nervous. And I went to a tattoo artist and I got the word believe tattooed on my wrist during that weekend at the beach because my cousin Kylene wanted a tattoo. And I was like, well, I'm going to go get a tattoo too. And so I went, and when I published this or put this word on my body, I was just thinking, if I'm going to self-publish, that means I'm going to believe in myself. I'm not going to count on an agent to get my book out there. I'm not going to count on a publisher. I'm not going to try to get my books into bookstores. It means I am just going to do this myself, and I'm going to believe in myself, and I'm going to hope that readers find something in me that they like. And at the time I was thinking, okay, if I could just sell 100 books, I would be so excited. Just 100 books. Then I'll know, there's something here and I should keep going. So we talked and talked and talked about it. And what I decided was I was going to write something new because I still had that request from Tor, and I thought, well, maybe I'll still send that off to Tor. So I'm going to hold that book back. And there was a piece of me that was like, this book I wrote specifically hoping to get a trad pub deal. And maybe that's what it was meant for, as traditional publishing. So I am going to write something new that's short and fun. And I had written at the time that Pandemic book based on like I said, wanting and trying to sell it. So I really felt like I had changed some of the way I naturally wanted to tell that story in order to try to make it what you would call saleable to traditional publishing. So I said, you know what? I'm going to cut ties with TradPub and I'm going to write something new. But what? What? Because I was so anxious at the time, like, okay, I just want to get something going. I'm ready. I'm excited. And at the time I had no other job except that I was teaching voice lessons. I was teaching private voice lessons to a handful of students that I would go travel to their house and teach them at their houses. But I had no other job. We had no kids. George had a full-time job. So I had a lot of time on my hands, like a lot of time to work really hard on this. And I had been working on being a writer for the past 3+ years full time. So I felt like I was ready to start something new. And I just thought, well, I'll just do something short that's super fun. That's just like everything that I love about a book and wish I could read in a book. And I'm just going to write it. So I started brainstorming ideas. And you guys have heard, many of you have heard this before, but I was like brainstorming a ton of ideas and I couldn't decide because it's like, how do you decide that one idea that's going to be good enough? And so I thought, okay, I'm like, just my brain is like a hamster on a wheel, right? I cannot come up with anything that I'm like gonna commit to. So I said, I just need a break for a few days. So I turned on Netflix, said, what can I watch? And I saw this show, Veronica Mars. And I was like, okay, here we go. Teen girl at a high school. Let's check it out. And I fell in love / obsessed with Veronica Mars. And the more I started watching it, the more I started realizing, well, these are some of the things I love. You've got a mystery, a murder mystery. You've got a girl on the outs of society, so to speak. She's like an outcast or a pariah. She's not the popular girl anymore. You've got the cheerleaders who are being mean to her, which is like my entire life in high school. And you've got this girl who's snarky and sort of broken and solving mysteries. And I just thought, okay, I want to write something like this. So I was very heavily influenced by Veronica Mars. And so I thought, okay, I want to write something like this, but what if it was like Veronica Mars as a witch? And that was the main idea. So what I started doing as I was watching like the second season of Veronica Mars was I pulled out a ton of magazines because it was old school. And when we actually still all got magazines. And I just started pulling images out of it that I thought would inspire this story. What do I want to have? What kind of images appeal to me? And I started cutting out like, oh, here's like a big white house. Okay, what if this big white house was in the woods? Okay, this is kind of interesting. Here's a picture of a motorcycle. Here's the kind of clothes I think my heroine wears. Here's this, various other things. Then I think I've mentioned this before, but I'm not 100% certain. You guys will see, and you see it on the cover of Beautiful Demons, that Harper wears a ribbon on her wrist. And this was something that I actually pulled from Pandemic. So at the end, and this won't be a spoiler because it never made it into the book, but the way that the original version of Pandemic ended was they made it up to New York to save Parrish's sister Zoe. And as they were about to save her life, like they go through this huge battle, and as they're about to save her life, this witch opens a portal and pulls Zoe through the portal. And as she gets pulled through the portal, Parrish reaches out and grabs Zoe's hair, but all she gets is the ribbon. And so at the end of Pandemic, which was my first ever like completed young adult novel, Parrish ties Zoe's ribbon around her wrist. And so that was going to be a part of that book series. That never ended up making it into the story, but I borrowed this idea of tying a ribbon around your wrist and put it into Harper's story, just as kind of a nod to that original story. So I don't know if I've ever talked about that before. So brand new tidbit of information for you guys today. So here are some of my favorite types of tropes that ended up making it into the book that you'll see as we begin reading it. So some of the, like somebody asked on Friday, what are some of your worst like pet peeves or tropes? So now these are like some of the things that I absolutely love so much. So New Girl in Town. I love in YA books and really any kind of books in particular where it's like somebody new in town, that fish out of water kind of thing. New girl in town, nobody knows you, you're mysterious, but you're trying to make your way. You really want to make friends, but you feel awkward. I always love reading about characters like that. So of course you see that again with Lenny, New Girl in Town. Mysterious house. So like haunted houses or mysterious houses, I'm all over that. And I think that this comes from kind of just a love of my grandmother's house when I was growing up, that she had this huge house. My mom's mom, they had six children. They lived on a farm, but it was just this really big house. And there was like talk of it being haunted. And so when we would go and stay there, I would always like hear ghost stories and things like that. And I just was obsessed with like haunted houses. So mysterious house, that makes it into this series. Unknown powers, or someone coming into their powers for the first time. So this is something, obviously it's a trope in young adult fiction all over the place, where you didn't know what kind of powers you had, and you kind of get into it. So I feel like the unknown powers / secret chosen one is a great trope. Obviously, that's what Harry Potter is based on. And I think it works so well and so many times. Rana said, was it like a plantation house? So like, I would not call it like a plantation house. My grandmother's house definitely was not. It was like a farmhouse in Indiana, not at all plantation-like. The house that Harper moves into, you guys will see, it's not really like a plantation house exactly. Like it never was on a plantation, but it is an antebellum home that was like pre-Civil War style house. And there are a lot of houses like this in the town of Hawkinsville where I grew up. And I am going to share some of those images with you guys on Wednesday, just so you can kind of see some of those from the town where I grew up. Another one is the orphaned teen. So again, here we go with Harry Potter, but that trope of an orphaned teenager who has nowhere else to turn and that sort of thing. Now, Veronica Mars is not orphaned, but her mother is gone and her father is the only one kind of looking out for her. Also, like magical amulets, magical talismans of some kind. You guys see this all over my work. So not only do like Parrish and all of them in the Pandemic series, they all have their own symbol. They also have their own weapons and that sort of thing. You have in my Deep Dark Secrets book, Mariah has a mysterious amulet or medallion that she discovers after the accident. You've got Harper has a necklace that she believes, you'll hear it. It's coming soon. So Harper has a necklace. And of course, Lenny also had a locket and a key. So that sort of magical talisman is something that appears almost in every single one of my books, if not all of them. Another thing that I really wanted to pull from Veronica Mars, but also from my own life, was this idea of the cheerleaders being the popular girls, but not necessarily being the nice girls, right? So sort of like Mean Girls, but with an extra twist. So you guys will get to know more about that as we move into Beautiful Demons for those of you that have not read it yet. So that's going to be really fun. Roseanne said, I love the tropes of a secret world behind the regular world. I also love the idea of finding something from the past that unlocks a secret that extends to the present. So yes, so that is very similar to what's going on in Beautiful Demons. And of course, these are common tropes. You see them in lots of books, but that's also something from Harry Potter with the secret world unlocking, the secret world being unlocked or discovered. And that's something that Harper goes through as well in this series. And the first book, Beautiful Demons, is only 45,000 words. So it's about half as long as The Witch's Key. And I'm not going to be reading it every day. Like I said, I will come up with a schedule for you guys that I will, show you on Wednesday, where I'll talk about whether I just haven't decided, am I going to read chapters Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, or will I just read Monday, Wednesday, and then we'll have a coffee chat on Friday? So we'll definitely be moving through that. Roseanne said, I interviewed someone from an article and they moved into an old house and they found these handmade toys in the floorboard with a note. That is so cool. I think that is something that, I don't know if any of you guys are murderinos, let me know in the comments. Murderinos are people who are fans of the podcast, My Favorite Murder. I'm a super fan of that. And they talk about that all the time, that one of their favorite things is stories about like hidden notes or things found in houses that you moved into. And I love that too. Absolutely love that idea of finding something hidden in the floorboards. And that's another thing that gets pulled into my Demons series, not in the first book, but it does get pulled in for sure. So yeah, there's lots and lots of things. Gosh, it's been years, but it said something like Tony was here. The owners did find the boy. He was like 95 when they found him. It was very cool. Wow. That is so crazy. So some little kid hid those toys with a little note. That is super cute. I love that story. Roseanne, thank you so much for sharing that with us. So yeah, I love those kind of things. So it's Crime Junkie is also really cool. I think that's based in Indiana where I used to live. I went to graduate school there. So yeah, I think that it's fun when you can pull so many things that you love, but you'll recognize, you know, some of the things that I love, I have decided to put into many of my stories, like the idea of a necklace. And that's just something that kind of weaves them all together and, you know, shows, I guess, just things that I love to talk about. So Popular Girls, maybe having secrets and stuff also plays a role in this. I am so excited to get to read this to those of you that have not read it before. Some of you that are here have read this book, Beautiful Demons, multiple times, many times. So it'll be interesting to see if you guys still enjoy it. You've just never heard me read it to you. So hopefully you'll still hang out with us. So the plan is I will get you guys a schedule on Wednesday. It's about 45,000 words, so I'm not sure how long it will take to read. If it turns out that we're reading Beautiful Demons and I finish it, because it's going to get finished, you know, within just a few weeks, and I'm still not done with Fate's Surrender, then we'll just keep on going and I will read Inner Demons, which is the second book in the series. So we'll just keep going until Fate's Surrender is finished. And when Fate's Surrender is finished, what I will be doing is writing The Witch's Door sort of while I'm plotting. This is the plan anyway, Vengeful Darkness, because I want to write, obviously the next main book I want to write and work on is book 11 of my Shadow Demon saga. Beautiful Demons is book 1. So I'm working on book 11, but that book is going to take me some time to plot. So I will be writing The Witch's Door or The Witch's Key season 2 while I'm plotting Vengeful Darkness and writing that book as well. So I've got a plan in place. I'm just going to ask you guys, as I have said from the beginning, to be flexible with me because you just never know. And I have come more and more to understand about myself that I'm just somebody who kind of has to live by the muse. And I'm not always someone who can follow the exact schedule when it comes to creating things. So we'll just kind of keep going until the next thing is ready. And anything is subject to change. So if I'm, you know, if I get deep into Fate's Surrender and I need more time, then we'll just keep reading other things. If The Witch's Door is not going to be ready because I really am ready to go ahead and start writing Vengeful Darkness, then I'll just keep reading Beautiful Demons series and we'll just see kind of how it goes. But I appreciate you guys for being so flexible with me. I just feel like for a long time, what I've tried to do is keep promising what I hope will happen. And then I get myself in trouble because even just today, I got an email from someone saying, I've been looking everywhere for Vengeful Darkness and you said it would be out in 2019. And do you have any idea how long I've been waiting for this book? I don't understand why it's taking you so long, blah, 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 blah. So, you know, it's one of those kind of things. It's like almost a daily occurrence that somebody's like, you said it would be out. And it's like, man, I I did say it would be out, and it is not out, and it is not ready, and it is not coming soon. So it's one of those things of like, I just can't, I'm going to have to stop promising when things will be, and we're just going to have to keep going. So I'm going to stop promising things and instead just take it one step at a time. So I mean, it is kind of rude, but then again, it's like I say in the back of the book, it will be out in 2019. And that was the intention. And, people are ready for that book to be here. But what I always want to say to people is if you just now finished Deceiving Darkness, you have not been waiting as long as some other people who bought that book the minute it came out. So, here we go. I promise you there are other people who have been waiting longer than you have. So at least they care. At least they're hoping that the book will be here. So I'm not complaining. I'm just saying it gets me into trouble by saying this is what's coming next. And this is what's coming next, because I can't always promise what's coming next, and I can't promise when it will be done. I know what I want to happen, but I'm going to stop promising it because I don't know how it's going to work. We'll just see. Okay. So if you're just joining again, or you joined after the beginning, on Wednesday, I'm going to have some fun kind of like prequel things to talk about with Beautiful Demons. I gave you guys a lot of the story of how I came up with the idea, but we're going to talk a little bit more about the journey to becoming a self-published author and what all that entailed, and how the series got started. Like, it was originally called the Peachful High Demons series. And I'm going to take you through some of the cover art for that series. I've kind of done this a little bit before, and we might do it again when we do the read along, which this will play nicely into the read along later that we're going to do before book 12. But I'm also going to show you some of the inspiration things behind it, like some of the actresses that I think would play Harper, that kind of thing, and some of the houses in my hometown that I actually haven't been back to in years, but I do have some old pictures that I'm going to show you guys of what I feel like that looked like. Like some of those houses looked like that inspired Beautiful Demons. So we're going to have some of that on Wednesday, but then I'm taking Friday off for my son's birthday. So I will not be here on Friday. If I can get a vlog done by then, I will do a vlog, but I can't promise anything because I've also got a course starting on Sunday. And there's just a lot of work to do this week. So we'll just see how it goes. There we go. I'm not promising anything. So yeah, we'll talk more about that on Friday. Do you guys have any questions or thoughts as we move into, a new reading of Beautiful Demons? Michelle, that's so funny. So I have a kind of a business mentor, Amber McHugh. I've talked about her before. For so many, so often I'm in like her incubator / mastermind. And I was just talking to her, and she said to me last week, she was like, you just need to say soon, because soon is such a relative term. So that's what Michelle just said. Maybe you can say coming soon being up for debate. So yeah, I think that is a good word to use. It's coming soon because that could be a year from now if it is. My intentions are good, but at the same time, I'm just not ever going to be somebody who is going to push a book out when I don't feel like I put my heart into it. And that's just the way it is. And there are lots of people who can write fast and put their heart into things and just keep going. But some of those people don't have kids, or they're just not, writing the same genre as I am, or they're just not like me for some reason or another. I don't know. Every writer is different, and every writer has their process and their strengths and weaknesses. And that's just one of my things, is that I can't rush a book, and I just kind of have to follow my heart. Roseanne said, ooh, when is Publish and Thrive going to be out? So I have, for those of you that don't know, I do have a course that is a 5-week long course called Publish and Thrive that is about self-publishing and how to start your own publishing business, how to brand your books and get them published and edit them, and all of the things that you need to know to self-publish. And I am going to be opening that course up again in August. So it will actually open for registration in July, and we will start it in early August. So that is coming up. The course that starts for me on Sunday that I'm teaching is a week-long course called the HB90 method. And this is kind of my planning method that you guys got to see my big Kanban board there with all of the sticky notes and everything. That is my HB90 course where I teach you how to set 3 goals a quarter and break those down into projects and tasks. So I definitely see some names here that have taken the course already. So let's see. La 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 la. Can't wait for Publish and Thrive. Anna, I hope you'll join us. So Emmy says, when is that book coming out? That I definitely don't have a release date on, but I want to do a nonfiction book called The Writer's Guide to Getting It All Done. And that's going to be about my HB90 method as well. So I've already been outlining that book, but I feel like I just have so many other things to do that I'm like trying to focus it in, because I obviously took a lot of time off my writing to focus more on my like author coaching business, because it was just easier to do than being like on the creating side when I was pregnant. And I was so grateful to have that. But now I'm like, okay, now I got to get my writing in like back in order, because I've got, now we've started a new series with the Witch's Key stuff, but I also still have that one final book, Fate's Surrender. So I was talking about Pandemic, which became Death's Awakening and Sorrow's Gift. So there's one book left in that trilogy, which is called Fate's Surrender. And I'm hoping I can finish that this month. There is still hope that it will be done this month. So it wouldn't be out until next month, but I'm hoping I can finish it this month. Then I still have 2 final books in the Shadow Demons saga. So the book I'm going to read to you guys is called Beautiful Demons, and it is the very first book in my Shadow Demons saga world. And this, if you guys are interested in seeing, if you're not familiar with my work and you want to see everything that's involved in it, there's 2 places you can see all the books. One is on my website at sarahcannon.com. If you click on the tab that says reading order, it will take you to a full list of the reading order of those books. Another one is if you're in my Facebook group, Sarah Cannon's Coven, Christabel has, I think it's listed in 2 places. She said it's in the files section. It's also in the pinned post where she has a list of the reading order for that series as well. So it's not just the 10 books that have been published in the Shadow Demon saga. It's also the Sacrifice Me series, a side story called After Midnight, as well as A Demon's Wrath, and some little short stories here and there. So there's lots of little things, Red being one of the short stories that I read to you guys. So lots of little things. And there is another side story coming soon called One Wish is what I'm going to call that one. And it's kind of been in a state of almost being finished for a while. And I just haven't ever finished it. So that's going to be something that will also come out for free to newsletter subscribers. I see you guys kind of talking about the Publish and Thrive course. Yes. So all of my courses are, once you have signed up for them, you can get access to them forever. So like HB90 course used to be a 3-day course, and I updated it to a full week-long course with even more videos and updated information. So everybody who had it and bought it as a 3-day course still gets access to the full 7-day course, and so on, even if it gets updated. Oh, Roseanne said HB90 changed my life. Not even kidding. Thank you so much. I feel like I hit a point in my life for sure several years back, probably 5 or 6 years ago, where I started to realize, I'm comparing myself to other people. I'm not getting the work done that I wanted to get done. And it doesn't matter how much money you make. If you're not happy, none of it makes any difference. And I started to realize I've got to find a way to get my to-do list under control, where I feel like I'm getting things done that are leading me to my ideal life, not the ideal life somebody else has, but the ideal life that is my ideal life. And, every single person has the things that they care about, their own values. And even though the world will often tell you, well, the only way that you can be a successful author is to make millions of dollars and do this, this, and this. But it's like, that's not true. There is no only way. There's just what you want as an individual. And the more I started to realize that, the more I started to find joy in my own life and my own process. So we talk a lot about that in the HB90 course. So, yeah, That's about it, you guys. I'm so excited that you all were here, and we did get over 100 people today, which is exciting because like I said, I'm always kind of keeping an eye on the numbers because I want to make sure this is something you guys are still interested in showing up for, even though a lot of you are back at work, or as somebody said, some of us are working from home and so on. So I know that there were a couple people before who were also tuning in while they were at work and using it as an excuse. So yes. Emmy says, I have a sign in my office that says, just do you. Kelly says, the average millionaire has 7 streams of income. Don't ever tell me there's only one way for anything. I did not know that. That is really cool. So I'm getting up there. I'm ready to be a millionaire. I'm not there yet. I'm not even close to being there yet. But that's really fun. Maybe I need a couple more streams of income. But the thing is, it's like people can tell us that we need to be millionaires to be happy or whatever, but it's like you don't need to be a millionaire to be happy. I mean, you just need to figure out what it is you want and then go for that. But I was just actually reading in a book that also said the average female self-made millionaire works 70 hours a week. So it's like, maybe you want to be a millionaire, but if you don't want to be working 70 hours a week, you may never get there. So like, where are your priorities? I don't have 70 plus hours a week to work because I want to see my children and hang out. And one of my biggest priorities was to retire George from his soul-sucking job. So he had a great, great job. Like when I was talking about when we first got married and everything, he had an amazing job with really great benefits, but he was not happy there. And so that was one of our big goals in the beginning, was if I could just sell enough books someday that he could quit his job and follow his heart, that would be amazing. And it took me, about 3 years, 2.5 to 3 years to make enough money for him to quit his job. And, I'm proud of that. And that's really that's the main thing that we wanted to be able to do so that we could both be home with our kids and be home with each other. And we did that 7 years ago. So, now I just need the house on the marsh. Just bring me the house on the marsh or near the beach and we're good to go. So Roseanne asked, what is George's dream, if he doesn't mind you saying? I think George is still kind of working on his dreams. And so I probably won't share that, but maybe he will come and join. He's been really busy with the baby lately. She's like hitting a 9-month thing where she's like super, super fussy. And like I said, she skipped her nap again today. So we probably are not even going to have an appearance from her, sadly, because she's just been a little bit harder to handle the last few days, but hopefully or the last few weeks, actually, hopefully we'll get a handle on it. But she's hit the point, you guys, where it's like when we were reading The Witch's Key, which was only like a month ago, she was somebody like you could sit her down or you could put her on the floor with you. Now it's like you cannot take your eye off her. She's crawling all over everything. She's trying to climb the stairs. She's just all over the place. So it's a little bit more intensive. So you guys might not see George as much until we get maybe into the season 2 of The Witch's Key. So we'll see. It could be the teething. Yeah, that's true. Roseanne said, I bet she's going to start walking. They get cranky when they want to move, but can't quite do it. Yeah, I think that she's going to walk soon too. I really do. All right, you guys, we have been here for almost an hour. And, I know I say it a million times, but I'm so grateful for you. I absolutely love like hanging out with you guys and just sharing this with you. I'm so excited to get to share the Beautiful Demons with you guys that have not read it before, because this is like the foundation of who I am as a writer. And you guys are going to get to discover that. And, you will probably see some things that are similar to The Witch's Key. And you're going to see some things that are, maybe some more like novice style writing from me. But then again, you'll also see the real first book that I was like I said, this was my fourth completed novel, but it was the first thing that I actually self-published. So it was like my first thing that I finished and was polished enough to put it out into the world and take that chance. So we'll talk a little bit more about that on Wednesday. And it's, it's going to be really fun to get to introduce that to you. And I will have a schedule for you on Wednesday of how we're going to do it. So it's going to be fun. We might end up, like I said, we might end up reading the first 2 or 3 books as well. And if you want to read along, you can grab this book for free. So the first 3 books of this series are free, and they're linked for you down below. They're also linked in the Coven and on my website. You can read them by downloading them at any of the vendors. So Google, Amazon, Apple, Kobo, Barnes & Noble. You can also read them free if you prefer to read on Wattpad. All 3 of these books are also free on Wattpad. So go read them if you would like to, or you can grab it and follow along as I read. And yeah, it'll be awesome. So I will see you guys on Wednesday, and we'll get the schedule. No Friday coffee chat this week because I'm going to take the day off. And then Monday next week, which is June 15th, I believe, we will begin reading Beautiful Demons. So I'm excited. Thank you guys so much for voting. And I apologize if it's not the story you were hoping for. But like I said, if you really want to read Triton's Curse, which is the merman book, you can grab that. I think it might be 99 cents right now. I'm not sure. But like I said, at most it's $3. And you can get that at any vendor as well. So might as well pick up the rest of the Willow Harbor series as well if you would like to. I think it begins with a book called Shifter's Fate by Alyssa Rose Ivy. And I'm excited. A new adventure. I love you guys. Please hit the thumbs up on your way out. And I will see you on Wednesday with some fun pictures. I'll be sharing my screen with you again. So it will go up a little bit earlier for you to like follow along or whatever. So I'll be sharing my screen to show you guys some of the inspiration behind the book before we start reading it. All right. I love you. Bye, everybody. Have a great Monday.